Okay, so we are now recording, so I got all this on there for you at another point. So, what this picture is, this is a picture of photosynthesis, which we've been talking about now for quite a few weeks. In this picture, we notice that we have molecules of carbon dioxide coming in to a plant. We have molecules of water coming into the plant. Let me open up my document as well, make sure I'm talking correctly. And we have energy from light, in particular, energy from the sun, also coming into the plant. Now, all three of these inputs, carbon dioxide, water, and energy from light, from sunlight in particular, enter into the chloroplast of the plant. Now, inside the chloroplast, there is a chemical reaction that takes place. Now, if you remember, in a chemical reaction, matter is not created nor destroyed. It is only rearranged. As a result of this, glucose is made and oxygen is made. Now, if you notice, I have 6 molecules of carbon dioxide. I have 6 molecules of water. I have the energy from the sun. Then it shows you one big molecule, C6H12O6. If you were to count all the little parts and pieces drawn on that, they would equal 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, 6 oxygens. And then I have 6 molecules of oxygen, O2. And if you were to spend the time and count all the carbon and the carbon dioxides, all the oxygens up there, then come down to the water and count all the hydrogens and count all the oxygens there, and then came over to the output side and counted up all the pieces, they'd equal each other. It's the same amount on either side. I'm going to want you to be able to recreate this drawing for the test. Now, you're not going to have to draw 6 carbon dioxides and 6 waters, but you will need to draw at least one carbon dioxide model. You'll need to draw at least one water molecule. You'll need to draw the glucose molecule, and you'll need to draw an oxygen molecule. I don't care if they look exactly the way I draw them, but your carbon should have one carbon and 2 oxygens in there. Your water should have 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. Your glucose should have 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, 6 oxygens, and your oxygen should have 2 oxygen molecules. That will be the first part you're going to do. You're going to show me where the sunlight comes in. You're going to tell me there's a chemical reaction there. And then you are going to explain in detail the way photosynthesis works. And your explanation should sound something like this. Carbon molecules enter into a plant through the stomata, small openings on the bottom of the leaf. Water molecules are absorbed through the roots of the plant. The carbon dioxide and the water go to the chloroplast where energy from the sun is absorbed. A chemical reaction occurs. The energy from the sunlight is absorbed and stored in a molecule of glucose, C6H12O6, where it is stored in the plant, and also created as oxygen, which leaves the plant through the stomata. Done. That is the best definition or explanation I can have to give you the best grade. Now, I'm sorry, Elizabeth. I just came back and looked at that. You should have opened up the picture in the Google Classroom. My apologies to that. But if you come back and look at the video, I was actually looking at the picture when I was talking about it. All right, so you will need to be able to draw that picture, and you'll need to be able to explain it. That is one of the 2 test grades that are going to be on the test that we have on Tuesday. Now, the second part of the test deals with how plants use carbon dioxide and create oxygen. Now, we did a gizmo. You guys remember the gizmo? We manipulated in an online interactive simulation a water plant called Elodea and snails. And you were supposed to put a little meter stick in it, measure the amount of oxygen, the amount of carbon dioxide, how it went up and down with the plants and with the snails, with light on and with light off. So in general, what you should remember, hopefully, from the gizmo is then when you have a plant and it is exposed to light, carbon dioxide levels will start to fall and oxygen levels will start to rise. The reason why is the plant takes in carbon dioxide and it produces and releases oxygen. Only when there is light present. Only when there is light present. And my light just went off in here. That's funny. When you have a plant with no light, you will actually notice the carbon dioxide levels will start to increase and oxygen levels start to decrease. That is because the plant also does cellular respiration. So it will take some of that oxygen back and it releases some carbon dioxide. Now, if I put just a snail in a container, with or without light, it does not matter. The carbon dioxide levels increase and the oxygen levels drop. It does not matter if the light is on or off because the snail at no time does it ever produce oxygen. It does not produce photosynthesis. That makes sense to everybody, correct? Okay. Now, the last thing that you needed to do in the gizmo was to find a ratio of plants and snails to keep the oxygen levels kind of even. Well, hopefully most of you found that if you put in one plant and one snail, it kind of worked. Right? The levels stayed kind of the same because the snail producing the carbon dioxide, the plant would take that carbon dioxide and make oxygen. They varied a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. So what I'm going to ask you in the test, and this is a true scenario, is there was a scientist who took a box that was, I forget the exact size of the box, I think it was like about 4 foot by 8 foot, put some plants in it, put himself in the box, and sealed it for 48 hours. No air could come in or out of the box. He had food and he had water, so his needs were taken care of. The plants had food and water. And he lived for 48 hours with no outside air. So what I'm going to want you to do is I'm going to want you to make a claim. Why was he able to survive? And then there's going to be a bunch of graphs in there. Graphs showing the plant by itself in the box, the oxygen levels went up. A person in the box by itself, the the oxygen levels went down, the carbon dioxide levels went up, and you're going to give me evidence of why he was able to live in the box by himself with the plant. He didn't eat the plants, he ate his other food, so the plants stayed good the whole time. Does that make sense? And we are going to talk about this prior to the test on Tuesday. Now, you will not be allowed to leave the Google Meet during the test. You will have to stay in the Google Meet. And I will have on GoGuardian. So I will be, watching you do this. Now, one of the things you can do for the test, because I know not all of you are well versed in Google Draw, is you may draw the model and then put that in the test. Just attach it in there when you submit the test. Okay. There will be a spot on the test that you're going to tell me the 3 inputs and the 3 outputs, but then you need to draw the parts around the picture that is there. So I will allow you to draw a picture and then put that in just to make it easier for you, because the people will be doing the test in school. They'll actually have paper to do that. Yes, Kinder, the test will be on Tuesday. Okay. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and look at, does anybody have any other questions about what we just went over as far as the test is concerned for Tuesday? Okay. Very good. So today we have 2 different assignments. The first assignment, I am going to share my screen. It is called How Do Scientists Measure Food and Energy? So it says, you probably heard before that the food we eat provides energy for our bodies. But what exactly does that mean? Remember from the inside of our body unit, which is not something we did, but you did talk about this in 5th grade. Food gets broken down in our bodies in a chemical reaction that happens inside of our cell and provide energy that our bodies can use. But how much energy is in the food that we eat that can be used by our bodies? Okay, so remember we looked way back when at the foods that we ate for breakfast, and then you were supposed to look at a bunch of food labels, and they gave us things like calories, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So we look at these, and there's 3 different things here: maple syrup, maple drink, which is maple water, and natto, which somebody told me natto is like a rice. And they tell you the calories, they tell you carbohydrates, sugars, if there's things like calcium, magnesium, or manganese, they tell you a lot about the stuff that's in the food. Well, it says, as you can see, these labels have categories of different food molecules such as fats, carbohydrates, fibers, proteins, and sugars, which we have been talking about. But in order to determine the total amount of energy that can be used in our bodies, we have to look at the measure of calories. Does anybody know off the top of their head, how many calories do we consume or should we consume in a day? Raise your hand if you think. Okay. Somebody answered it. But yes, 2,000. That is what is recommended approximately for most people to eat, 2,000 calories. Unfortunately, like Mr. Schillinger, likes garbage like this, which gives me a bunch of empty calories, which I don't need, which makes me, a little bit more on the hefty side. But I do that so nobody can pick me up and steal me. They have to be really strong to be able to pick me up and steal me. Oh, come on. Not one person laughed at my joke. You guys are a tough crowd today. Okay, that's fine. Oh, thank you, Olivia. Appreciate that. Okay, going on. The number of calories on a food label indicates the number of units of usable energy we can get from the food we eat. You figure out the inside of, or you figured out on the inside of our body unit that to get energy out of food, our bodies must break down food molecules small enough to be absorbed out of our digestive system. Again, we didn't study this unit in here, but it's part of the material that we're using. The cells of our body where food reacts with oxygen provides those cells and tissues and organs they make up with energy to do things. We figured that out is a process called cellular respiration. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk more about cellular respiration here in a couple days. All food contains a different amount of calories depending upon the molecules that makes them up. Fats, proteins, carbohydrates, fibers, starches, and sugars in food contribute to the total number of calories or energy units in our body. So basically, in a nutshell, all that says is that all these different things that we've been learning about, the proteins, the carbohydrates, the fats, all that equals calories. Okay. Some things have more calories than others. Some things have less. But we need to know the number of calories to provide us energy for our food. Judd, did you say something? Or are you talking to somebody else? Okay, cool. So there are 4 questions here that I'm going to want you to answer. One says, make a claim about which of the food servings shown in the article will provide our bodies the most energy through cellular respiration. So when you get to that question, you're going to come back up here and you're going to look at maple syrup, maple drink, and natto. And Noah, which one of these provides the most energy for our body? Maple syrup, maple drink, or natto? Maple syrup, very good. It has 200 calories per serving versus 30 and 60. So that's all you're going to do for that question. You're just going to write down which one has the most energy. Now, let me see here. Lillian. How you doing, Lillian? So, Lillian, if a food label measures 0 calories, what claim could you make about how much energy this food would provide our bodies? How much energy would it give us? 0. It has 0 calories, so it's not going to give us any energy. So supposedly, first off, I hope none of you drink sodas. They're not good for you. There's nothing healthy about soda at all. Yeah, so do I. But we shouldn't drink them, as I drink my Coke right here. Yeah, but they're very bad for you. Even when you buy one that says 0 calories, you're actually getting a lot of stuff your body doesn't need. So don't be misled by, ooh, this says 0 calories, it's healthy for me. No. Yeah, but most things will have other things like high fructose corn syrup, which is very bad for you as well. Okay, the next question. Again, there's a little bit of stuff here that we really don't need. It says, in many systems that we have studied before, we have kept track of how energy is transferred in and out of a system, such as cups warming up or cooling down, or how the ground heats the air above. Okay, I don't really care about any of that first part. But starting right here, it says, thinking back to the maple tree, We know that sugar in the maple tree can provide us energy. Where did this energy come from? So, Millie, how are you doing? Very good. So, Millie, in maple syrup, there is sugar, and it has calories in it. It has 200 calories in it. Where is this energy coming from? Yeah. Initially, all of our energy we get is coming from the sunlight. All right. So now the sunlight converts its energy into glucose. So the energy is in the glucose, and it goes out into the maple water, the blood, the sap of the tree. We boil it down and we get maple syrup. That's just a concentration of that glucose, is all it is. All right. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Now the fourth question on here, this is kind of an independent question for you. It says, consider what you have read or observed in the text and the food labels. So you read some stuff here, or I read it to you, but you can read back over it again. Or the food labels, which are these three food labels right here. Which of this helped you better understand about calories, which gives you the most energy for a food? So it could be text labels, it could be food images. Tell me which one and why it was the most helpful to you. So that's kind of an independent thinking one right there. So I'm going to let you answer that one independently. Okay, so now, when you are done with that one, there is another assignment called How Many Calories? And this one is a super simple one. And again, I'm going to give you the majority of the answers right now. It says what we're doing is we're looking at photosynthesis. Water. Where does water come from? What is the source of the water? Miriam, where does water come from in a plant? The stem, but let's go back just a little bit further. Where is it entering the plant from? The roots. So I'll accept stem, but ideally you're going to say that the plant is absorbing the water through the roots. So it sources the roots. Jackson, where does carbon dioxide come from? Comes through the stomata. Very good. So it comes out of the air through the stomata and then goes into the chloroplast. Now, let me see. Ryan, you doing all right today? Good. So, Ryan, do you think water, just regular water, not flavored water or anything like that, does water have any calories? No. So, right here where it says calories for water, you'd put zero. Will, carbon dioxide, the stuff you blow out of your body, do you think that has any calories to it? No. Okay, so I mean both these are zeros, so that's a pretty easy answer right there. Where it says patterns, what I want you to do is I basically want you to explain how water and carbon dioxide move through the plant to the chloroplast. That's all you're going to do where it says patterns. Now down here where it says outputs, glucose, um, River, where do you think glucose comes from in the plant? No problem. Where does glucose come from in the plant? Okay, we did just discuss this at the beginning of class, but that's all right. Kaylee, are you with us, Kaylee? Miss Holiday? Where does glucose come from in the plant? Okay. Nope. Kirsten, if you're talking, I can't hear you, Kirsten. Okay. Olivia? It does, but more particular than that, it comes from a very specific area. Kendra, it comes from something in the leaves. Jackson, it comes from the chloroplast. So, as your output or for your source for glucose, write down chloroplast. And you spell chloroplast ChloroPlast. 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 All right. Now, for the next question, or the next one, it says oxygen. So let's see here. Who have I not? Hayden. Where does oxygen come from in the plant? Hayden. Where's the oxygen coming from, sir? Hold on, Will. I'm trying to call some people that I haven't called yet. All right. Addison, where is the oxygen coming from? Not in general. It comes from a specific spot. No. Let me try Brady. Mr. Singer? Okay, one more, then Will gets a chance. Judd, where's the oxygen coming from? Okay. Will? Ah, okay. Okay. All right, go ahead and try. Yes, yes. So, guys, look at this picture. This is the picture that is in the last assignment. This is the one that you need to know for the test. So this blue box is the chloroplast. So the carbon dioxide comes into the chloroplast, the water comes into the chloroplast, energy from the sunlight comes into the chloroplast, glucose comes from the chloroplast, and oxygen comes out of the chloroplast. So the chloroplast is where photosynthesis is taking place. So that's where carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight are going. And as a result, we make the glucose, so it's coming from the chloroplast, and we make the oxygen. And so that's coming from the chloroplast. So, and you have that picture, so you can go back and study that a little bit more because you are going to need to know that for the test. So then on this one, we talk about the calories. Emma, how you doing, young lady? Okay. Manuel, how you doing, sir? Good. So, Manuel, how many calories do you think oxygen has? How many calories? You think oxygen has 5 calories? Okay, so if oxygen has 5 calories, think about this. Every time you took a breath, you would get 5 calories. And if we breathed in, would that be 200 times, that would be 1,000 calories. If we breathe 400 times, that'd be 2,000 calories. So all we'd ever have to do, I see you change your mind, but all we'd ever have to do is breathe. We'd never have to eat to be able to survive as far as getting the energy we need. So Rivers was correct. Oxygen has 0 calories. So then the question comes from, the next question would be, how many does glucose have? Well, if I were to open up the reference nutrition label in this assignment, which is one that we've looked at before, and I go down through here and I look for glucose. It's alphabetical. So we got C's, E, F. It says glucose tabs, which is pure glucose. One serving of glucose is 20 calories. So the answer for calories with glucose would be 20 calories. And then you have 2 questions to answer there. And that is your assignment for today, getting those 2 documents finished. I'm going to turn off the recording so I can process that.